Yep.
I can start? Good. Okay. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to do this in English because I don't speak a word Russian. I only know one Russian word, and I'm not going to say it here. So, so it's going to be in English. If it's too fast, please give me a sign. I will slow down. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to tell you today about the search for App-iness and how we are building the future with progressive web apps. So this is me, this is my face. And my name is Jamie Maria Schouren, and you can forget that last part, it's too difficult, so Jamie Maria is fine. I'm the director of co-founder of Deity, and this is my Twitter, so you can find me there and follow and talk with me through Twitter, or just come to me and talk with me. So I have a question, and I saw someone today with a t-shirt, but I don't see him in this room, so that's good, it's not going to be spoiled. Who knows this screen? Good, Back to the Future indeed, Back to the Future console. I saw someone walking around with a Back to the Future shirt, but he's not in the room. This is indeed the Back to the Future console, and it's telling me that we went to the future, 23rd of April 2018 in the movie. They went to the future, which is, it's already a year ago, which means that today is the future. And is that true? If I look at the movie, there's some interesting things I can see there. And one of the things I see is that they predicted that we would have shoes which can lace themselves, and we indeed got them. So that means, okay, they're good, this is indeed the future. Then they predicted there would be some kind of handheld devices, which are computers, and we indeed got tablets. So we're there, right? They predicted we had hoverboards where you can fly, skateboards you can fly, and here is one, Tony Hawk, doing this. But the biggest trend of 2018, the biggest gadget, obviously was this thing. And I think that is very clear, very close to what's happening there. Then they also predicted we would have glasses. So we could see and do computer stuff with glasses, and we got them too. They also predicted that we would do something very cool, make a video and talk through video, right? Video conference calling, and obviously we got them. So I'm almost there, right? If I look at all this, they predicted the future. They said the future would be today, and I think that's actually true. They really predicted it well, because the main thing they predicted, and the main thing which makes me convinced that indeed it is the future, is that they did predict who would be the supervillain. It would be a blonde guy going in politics, living in a golden tower. And they predicted him as well. So that means, basically, that tells me that the future is now, right? The future is now. But is it? Because if I look at the mobile web specifically, and the web in general, this is what I see. This is the state of the web in 2018. We get pop-ups. Value your privacy, are you over 18? We fill in whatever we want to fill in, 12, doesn't matter. Send it, done. Then, where's my city? Yes, this is where I live. No newsletter, yes. And then when I'm almost there, chatbot. Which I think is a talk in the other room. And then, if I'm almost there, snap. Not working. Right? This is the state of the web. And it's really a shame, because there are 5 billion devices connected today. 5 billion. Think of it. These are not just phones, these are not just tablets, these are washing machines, these are our robot dust cleaners. We have so many things which are connected to the internet. We're all connected here. And if I look on how we use the internet and how these devices are a little bit spread in the world, we see something very interesting. The blue line going down is desktop, the green line going up is mobile, and here's a small line doing tablets and being very stable. And I can see in 2017 something very interesting happens. These two lines cross and they're kind of similar. Now, this means that basically everyone has a desktop and a mobile device, right? We have both. People have both. And then if I look at how people use these devices, the guys from Facebook did some very interesting research on that, as we know they research everything. They said 94% is using their mobile to access our apps, and 62% mobile only. 62% of people are not even using desktops anymore for just general purposes. They just use their mobiles. That's what's happening in the world. And then, specifically, I'm diving into the mobile web and I see this. the mobile web is super slow. Right? We know this. This is how mobile websites look like. And it's a shame, because if you calculate, then you can see 53% of users are going to abandon a website after 3 seconds load. 3 seconds, 53%. And if you have a web shop, let's say you have a web shop, and you do a turnover of 100,000 euros a day, then you're going to have a potential loss of 2.5 million on every second of your website is slower. Every second your website is slower, this is the money you're going to lose. And then realizing, so we're talking about 3 seconds, half of people is gone. And then we realize, do you even know what is the average loading time on a mobile device on a 3G network? Does anybody know? How many? 10 seconds. Your guess is 10. Who goes for 10? Who goes for more? Good. 19. Yeah. Good. We're looking for developers. But 19, guys. 19. 4G, it's 14 seconds. It's not even that much better, 19. I don't even understand that people are still buying online if you see these numbers. But luckily, we're developers. We know what we do. So we said, OK, guys, we're going to fix this. Right? We're going to fix this because it's one big drama. So then in 2009, we did something very nice on the web, and we called it HTML5. And everybody was super happy with it. And even this guy thought, OK, this is what I'm going to do. HTML5 is it. I'm going to try it, and this is what I'm going to do. And then in 2012, they came out with the Facebook Hybrid app. Did anybody ever use the Facebook Hybrid app? Probably some of you did in that time. If you ever used Facebook on your mobile device in that time, you were using it. And the most interesting part about this was the following. It was the most downloaded app ever in the store, and these were the reviews. Why is the Facebook app such a piece of crap? This was the real reviews. 1.4 average rating on more than 1 million reviews, but still the most downloaded one. And then, you know, this guy came back and he said, well, the biggest mistake we made was to betting too much on HTML5 as opposed to native. And I think that was the biggest mistake then. Now the biggest mistake of Facebook is something else. But by then, it was about actually coding these things. So then we said, OK, quit with this drama. We're going to move to mobile apps. This is it. This is going to rule everything. 2012 mobile app, it's that. Good. Because they have a lot of advantages. And the advantages are the performance, obviously, we know that, they're very fast, very smooth, very instant loading, offline support, you have very easy access to the home screen, and you have a super high engagement. And it shows, because the numbers tell us that we spend 87% of our time on a mobile device we're on native apps. It's good, right? So I could quit my story now and say, let's build native apps. Well, obviously not. This is the turning point. Because what we do, the app usage is very concentrated. Only 80% of this time is spent on 3 apps, which is social media app, a news app, and a messenger app. We're not using anything else, just sometimes we're using anything else. And then if you look at how we're actually accessing these apps, you're getting this. The average amount of apps installed per user per month. This is another quiz question. Who knows the answer? Take a guess. How many? 5? You say 5. Who says higher? Who is saying lower? It is 0. People don't download apps, so why should we start building them? And why do people don't download apps? That's pretty easy, because they have huge distribution problems. Updating is a pain. Because you have to always go again through the store as a developer, and the user always has to update it. Application size and memory usage. Different OS systems. If you want to build a native app for your website, you're going to have 3 developers, teams, or individual developers needed. 1 doing your web, 1 doing your Android, 1 doing your iOS. Or you find a superhero, and it's going to be also nice, but then still, you know, you have to still have 3 systems you're going to have to take care of. And 10% of revenue is going to the App Store. And the 10% is the number if you're spending a shit ton of money there. Because for every other user, it's 30%. 30%. This is also why Spotify is more expensive if you buy it straight through the App Store. Because they have to pay 30% to Apple for this. So this is not nice. And we said we want to get rid of this, and I call this the search for App-iness. And we're going this for mobile app, the mobile app advantages, but we want to get rid of the bad stuff. So App-iness, with that I mean the complete experience which you can see on the native app, but then on the mobile app. This is what I call pure App-iness. If you find this, this is what it's going to make you happy. And then we did this. I mean, this happened, right? We know all of this kind of stuff happening at some point. We were building Windows 8 apps. We were building Chrome apps. BlackBerry even came in there with WebWorks. At some point, there was Adobe, even PhoneGap, etc. All this stuff trying to make this app feeling, native app experience from the web. But it never worked, and it never worked because it's not linkable. And that's very crucial. If you want to be part of the internet, you're going to have to make sure that somebody can find you. And if bots, and if Google, and if all these nice companies cannot find you and cannot index you, however are you going to spread the word about your product? How people are going to know you? So it all failed. And then in 2016, finally, the web strikes back. And then there was something which we call AMP. Does anybody know about AMP? Good, we have some people here. Accelerated mobile pages. It was Google having some nice initiatives saying, okay, you have a nice website, and we're going to translate, or we're going to rebuild kind of the landing page into a very fast website. It's very static, but it's going to be super fast, and it's going to load within a second. The Weather Channel did it. Within a second page load, 10 times less data, instant access to information, and a 4 times higher click-through rate. Also because, obviously, Google was pushing this. They give you a little icon if you had it, so you were higher on the SEO list. But it was really nice. I mean, this was a very nice experience. The only problem was, as soon as you left this very nice accelerated mobile page, it was slow again. Because you got back into the normal website. So it didn't really make sense. And also, you cannot use any dynamic data here. So if you're a shop, a web shop, how are you going to use this? Because it's really hard. And then at some point, eBay did some way, were able to use some dynamic data there, but it was not very useful. So then Google got super creative, and they said, let's turn this thing around. Literally, they said, AMP, let's turn it around, and let's make it into PWA. So, what is it? Basically, very short speaking, AMP are very fast landing pages. And then we go to PWA, which is App-iness. So, PWA is then the whole native app experience on the mobile web. What do we need to do to get this whole native app experience on the mobile web? Few things. We need to be fast, we need to be reliable, and we need to be engaging. So what do I mean with that? With fast, this is an example of Washington Post. Washington Post, on the left side, instant mobile web, right side, the current mobile web. These guys spend a lot of money building this kind of stuff, so they're pretty good at it. But you can see the difference between the current and the instant. I'm going to start the button. Don't blink, you're going to miss it. Left side is done. Right side, 3.3 seconds, is done now. So still very fast, 3.3, but 0.9 is instant. And the most interesting thing about it is that on the left side, everything is loaded now. And with everything, I mean everything. Everything, every other page that comes after this one is there. You can turn off your internet on this device, you can get into an airplane, you can walk through some tunnels, and it's still going to work. So the next page you're going to load is going to be even faster than 0.9 seconds. The other side, 3.3 seconds, as soon as you go to the next page, it might be a little bit faster, but it's never going to go on the 1 second. It still has to reload everything again, 0.9. That's fast. Then we talk about engagement. Obviously, the biggest engaging thing we know on mobile devices are push notifications. And it's really fun, and merchants immediately think, yes, push notifications, I'm going to send a lot of commercials to all my people. And obviously, there is no real person in the world who's going to press next. Everybody's going to press the cross because we don't want to see this. But if you look at the same functionalities as native apps, if you think about it, native apps have the opportunity to get your location and to see what you like. So you can really make a very personalized message. And you can actually do that now from the web. You know where these people have been. You know where these people are at the moment. And you can send them a push notification at the right time with the right message. For example, this. a dancing cat saying, get your groove on, 25% off of cocktails all weekend at this nightclub. Because you know you're in the area, you know you like cats, you know you go out, because all these things, you know, your phone knows about you, and you can send them this. And this is what makes the difference. Because now, nobody in their right mind, unless they are really party-loving people, has an app from a cocktail bar in a place they never go. But now, these people can reach their audience. They don't have to download the native app before they can reach them. And that really makes a difference here. So, back to memory lane. Who knows this device? Who remembers still? Okay, can you tell us what it is? It's a modem, yes. And do you remember what happened when you turned it on? Mm-hmm. Correct. Correct. That is very correct. So this was our world going online. If you were online, you knew it. It would make a noise. Nobody can touch the phone. Nobody can even try to go near a cable because you were online. And you were only able to see 1 or 2 pages in a 1 hour time, and then your mom was complaining, get off because my sister might be calling or my mother might be calling and we need to go, and then you were offline again. Going online was really something, right? You were going online. But now, we always are online, and we don't know this anymore. We don't hear this noise anymore. We know we're online, and we expect to be online. So our devices, our apps, and the things we're using on our phone should also be there. There shouldn't be any disruption from any network which is not working. It should always be there, because we're expecting that. And I'm not even talking about countries where there is, you know, very low coverage of data, but if you are in New York and you step in an elevator, this thing takes half an hour to go up. I mean, you still, and you're bored. What do you do in an elevator? Like, you don't really talk with people or something, you're just there. So you look at your phone, and it would be very cool if you can then give them still the information, or give them some nice matches when they're offline. So, another thing which we know from native apps is adding to your home screen, right? Being on your home screen, and that's something we all want. And you can do that from the web now. Super easy. What happens is as soon as you have this activated, and I will show you later a code example how you build this, is that there can be a pop-up saying, hey, you've been here now for a few times, and would you like to add me to your home screen? I press yes, add, done, I'm on the home screen. This is not a browser shortcut. This is an actual app. The browser disappears, the whole thing is there. It can be the same copy, but you can even send something else to that one. As you can see, there's no app store. Here is no app store in between. So I have an app on my phone directly from my web. No app store in between. No money lost, no installation drama, 1 developer who built it, not 3 anymore, or 1 superhero, just 1 normal developer who built it. And nobody watching, right? Google and all these people who are always in between, they don't know what I'm doing there. If I want to update, it goes from my server. People don't have to update it anymore. What is this? This is magic. And it even works on iOS with a little step in between. iOS, you need to press yourself. The button doesn't allow the pop-up yet, but there it is. As you can see the difference, here is the browser, there's not the browser. This is an actual screenshot from my phone. Here's my name, so it's my phone. And iOS even allows you to add a different name there. You can even add another name there if you want. But so you can, you know, have something really nice there and name it something else and make fun with that. But there is an actual app there, and it really works as an app. So pretty cool. If I put it in a schema, this is how it looks like. So I have native apps who can do offline, push notifications, all cool stuff. Cannot be indexable. You don't have one place to enter content. Doesn't work across all the devices, etc. And the responsive app is the other way around, and progressive web app is that. On the right side, everything, it's like a unicorn, right? But what is a progressive web app? What is a progressive web app now? What is it actually? So progressive web app is, according to our friends from Google, so it's a whole list of things, right? So they say a progressive web app is a progressive, responsive, connectivity independent, app-like, fresh, safe, discoverable, re-engageable, installable, and linkable. That's a whole bunch of words, and these words are all about user experience. That's it. These are user experience words. They tell us about how we want to use the phones and not exactly what it is. So we as developers are a little bit annoying, and we're like, yeah, but what is it now? Because this bunch of words, nothing I can do with it. I need to serve something to build it. So if we look technically as a progressive web app, we see it's a website with HTTPS. it has a service worker and it has a web app manifest. And that's it. So I'm not going to explain you what HTTPS is, because I assume you know what it is, so I'm going to skip to the other two. And the first one I'm going to talk about is the web app manifest. And does anybody ever tried it or worked with it, knows what it is? Yeah, some people already. So basically what it does, it's a file, it's a file, and then it has some information there, which allows for adding to a home screen. So it gives information about the theme color, the icon, the background color, the name, etc. And as soon as this file is detected on your website, you can add it already to the home screen. That's the only thing you have to do. Create a JSON file, put some meta crap in it, and that's it. You can be added to home screen, that's it. That's the only thing you need to do. Then you can add some prompt there so that they know if the browser detects it, that they can even show a prompt, which works on Android, and it's also really cool. But the only thing you have to do to get on a home screen is adding a JSON file. That's it, web app manifest. So Flipkart did it. They have 70% more conversion from the home screen. One JSON file. Think about it. 3 times less data use. This is it. This is real, right? This is not just some buzzword anymore. Next one, service workers. So does anybody know what service workers are? Good. I was expecting that on the JavaScript conference a little bit more. Service workers basically are client-side JavaScript proxy, if I can say it like that, and they improve performance, they make your app offline first, and is the base for all the advanced features. And basically, if I put it in a drawing, it looks a bit like this. Here's my phone, and there is my server, and the service workers in between. And the service worker works as the proxy for the phone client, and then it says, okay, as soon as I come to the website and I see, okay, the service worker is there, it's already installed, and then I'm going to talk to it, and it says, okay, is there something new? No, there's something new. Go to the cache, which means you can go offline here, because you can go straight to the cache there. You don't need the server anymore at this point. So a little bit different. If I look at the service worker lifecycle, basically what happens is a registration, an installation, and activation. And when you go on a website and it's detected that there's no service worker installed, it's going to install it, it's going to activate it, and then it can do all kind of stuff. So already upon registration, this thing can do stuff. So here is the registration happening. It's saying, yeah, it's successful, and or it's failed, right? Super simple. So I'm gonna this is a very easy one. But upon registration, on installation, I can have a function as an event. And one of the events could be download the cache. And downloading the cache means I can go offline. Because at that moment, I can give data which can show when someone is offline. This can be your whole website. I wouldn't say to do that. But it can also be certain information. For example, hey, you're offline. Here are my top 10 products. It can even be, hey, I know the last thing you were looking at when you were offline were shoes, so I'm going to show you shoes. And the other person, the last time you were looking at when you were offline were dresses, so I'm going to show you dresses. So you can do really cool stuff with this. Obviously, you can pay when someone is offline. You cannot finish the payment. But you can actually go very far with this. And this already happens on the first hit. Hit it once, done. Super fast after that, because it doesn't load anymore from the server. So your website is also extremely fast. Your performance goes through the roof. So what do you need to do then if you want to send a push notification? Because this one also happens with this service workers. And basically what happens is that you have your server there, and then you have a web push protocol request, and it sends to a push server, and this one is sending it to the device. So you're not sending it straight to the device. And what you need is 2 APIs, notifications API and the push API, and the notifications obviously making the notifications. And the push API, you need it because you need this push API to deliver the message, for example, when the browser is not opened. Because you need to be able to deliver messages like a native app experience also when someone is not in the browser. And even when the browser is closed on the backend, you still need to be able to deliver the message. So we're using a push API for that. And first what you have to do then is ask for permission, obviously. We need to ask someone, can I send you a message? And then when it's granted, or then it's fine, you know, I'm granted, I'm registered, and this device is registered at this moment. Then you have some options, pretty cool, because you can send actual nice options with these notifications, not only send the body the icon, but also vibrations. So you can even send some very custom vibrations when someone arrives. When your message arrives, it can vibrate in a different way than when someone else's message arrives. Pretty funny. You send some primary key with it, so you can get actually data back, so we can see if it's opened or not and if things happen. And this you want to use, obviously, when you're using buttons. So for example, go to site or no thank you. You want to be able to, what's happening there. So if you want to add buttons, it's very easy. You have some actions there, so you use actions for that. Go to site or no thank you, and then obviously things happen after that. You get some events back, notification close, notification click. Couldn't be any easier than this, right, to make this happen. One of the fun things is as well is that you can add more buttons than one. And this is something new, something we don't really know from native apps, is that you can actually send someone a message saying, for example, do you like this red shoes? The red shoes are now on discount. You can have a button yes, and then it goes to the red shoes. But you can also have a button no, I prefer blue. And then someone goes to the blue shoes. So you can actually do some really fun stuff with that here. Okay, when it's clicked, you obviously get the notification back saying, yeah, it's clicked or it's closed, whatever. The tricky thing about this is if you have a X button, like a closed one, and someone closes it, you can get a close event back unless someone bulks closed. So when someone has a lot of notifications on their phone and just swipe them all away, you don't get back that it's closed, because this one is not then triggered at that moment. So how does it then work with sending and receiving of these push notifications? So you have your server, it goes to the push subscription endpoint, fully GDPR friendly, because I'm not talking directly to the device and I don't even know this device. I know it's registered, but I don't know who's the user. So technically, you can have 3 subscribers who is in real life 1 person. Someone can be subscribed with their phone, their tablet, and their desktop, so it will be registered with you as 3 subscribers, and this is only 1 person. So what happens is that the push subscription endpoint, he says, obviously checks if its registration is there, and then if it's true, he's going to send this message to the user there. So I have here is the endpoint, so I'm talking to the endpoint, I have some keys there to make it safe. And then I can, from my server, create the message, say, okay, here is the message, have the key there, and I can have a time to deliver here, 60 seconds, for example. I can do 3 days, I can do 4 days, depending if someone is really offline, doesn't have an internet, or is like somewhere the phone is off, then it can still deliver. But it doesn't make sense if it's like a flash sale and it is delivering 3 days after, so you have some time to deliver there. Then it arrives on the phone, but it doesn't arrive on the phone because it goes to the service worker, and the service worker is checking if I can deliver this message. So it's checking if this person is registered, but it's also checking if you made a conditional messages, if the user is meeting the conditions. So for example, I'm sending a message to everyone in area X, and if this person is in area X, it delivers. If it's not, it doesn't deliver. So there's a very big difference there that it doesn't, check first, gets the data, sees, and then sends it. So this is very GDPR friendly. Huh? So the push arrives, the service worker starts, does his thing, handles the message, and shows the notifications. This happens in the browser. So we're all happy because this is what we're going to see in the next year. Our phones are going to look something like this, and we're going to get crazy, obviously, with all the notifications that people are going to send. But if I go back and I think about, okay, how can I be a progressive app? I need to have HTTPS, I need to have a JSON file with some meta stuff in there, and I need to have a service worker installed. That means that literally any website then can be a progressive web app. And that's basically actually true, because I can very easily make a progressive web app just by adding these 3 things to a website. But then Google says, yeah, that's not really what it is, because progressive web apps are about doing the web done right. Because it's about making a real experience on the web, a very engaging experience. So some companies did it. Tinder, we all know probably Tinder, and 7.2 seconds faster, 90% smaller, and they have more messages, more swipes, and longer sessions. They don't say if the sessions are on the phone or actually the action after the Tinder, if the quality went better for the matches, that the sessions are longer, but they're actually having some great results there. One more very interesting one is Uber. 3 seconds load time on 2G networks. And this one is very interesting because for them, they opened a whole new market. They couldn't offer their services in 2G networks on a proper way, and they can now. And they also don't have to give money anymore to the App Store. because they're skipping it. So another one, Trivago, 150% growth of engagement with the add-to-home users, and they doubled their conversion rate just by making a progressive web app there. And then you have another one, it's called The Rake, 80% growth in organic traffic, instant loading, and it has an Atlas architecture. And why do I know what this architecture is because we were the ones who built it. And The Rake is a mail magazine, very fancy, from the UK, and they wanted to have a content-driven web shop, and they asked us to combine WordPress with Magento. And we were like, yeah. And there, the guy actually is here who built this, who was in the process of building it there. And we were like, yeah, okay, we can combine these two things, and you can never touch it again, right? This is it. We build it, don't touch it, it's there. You can never do anything, you're gonna be stuck forever, it's gonna be dramatic. So why we're gonna do this? Why not make it headless? So we said, let's make this web shop headless. And what we did there, we had the front end, we separated it with an API, and then had the back end there straight and have these things talk with each other. So the front end is not involved at all with the back end here. It's a full standalone solution there. And the front end we build in React.js, and then there is a server there underneath which is built in Node.js, and then there is backend. But this backend doesn't have to be one backend, because what you can actually do is use all kind of products and services as backends. And they don't talk with each other anymore. They're not built inside each other because we're pulling products from Magento. We're pulling some blocks from WordPress straight. We're going straight to PayPal. We're going from Algolia, we do some search. So these things are not talking with each other anymore. They just go straight to my front end through this API. And then, if at some point I'm getting sick and tired of WordPress, I can just switch it out very easily, for example, Typo3. Because the only thing you have to do is move this data there and then just connect the API with this. So this was the result. 100, 100, 100 Lighthouse scores. And why is it so fast? It's because we're using React.js on the front end. We have this Node.js server running there, and it's a single-page application. So this whole thing is loaded in once. This third one is a little bit tricky. If you don't do it right, then no bot is going to ever see your website, and you're not going to be indexed anyway. So we added things like server-side rendering, etc., to make it really good, and so that people can, and bots actually can see what we're doing. So this project went really well. We had such high performance scores on that, and the engagement was very nice. So we decided to open source the project. And we called it Dative Falcon. And Dative Falcon is a framework to build progressive web apps with. It's fully platform agnostic, and it can connect with any service of any type of website you can build with it. Framework might not be the right word, it's more like a developer toolkit, so you as a developer can do and start playing with it. And we really want to invite you to try it. And one of the projects that has been built with this is a pretty cool project, and it's called, I'll wait for the pictures. Good. So it's called webshop.nl, so you can never forget this name. 7 million products in live. 19 million untested, instant search, time to market 2 months. 2 months we were live, from the beginning till the moment we went live. And I'm going to show you a small video how this works. So here I'm typing Lego, and there's all kind of Lego showing up, and I'm typing Lego green, and there's Lego there. What you can see is that there is a little bit of a delay when I type. The products are not showing up instant, but actually here on the top, but there's a logo on top of it. You're going to see the URL. There is actually typing in the URL, so please try it out on your laptop. This is actually showing up faster than the products. And why is it? We had to slow down the products showing up, because people were double-clicking search and enter. People didn't see that actually products were showing up. It was so fast. So, but you can see it quickly in the top. You can see that the URL is showing fast. Now, one of the interesting things what happened with this project is that when this guy came and said we want to build this, they had this idea. They had some money, and they hired some people from the Core Elastic team or a previous Core Elastic team to build a database. And they said, yeah, how much time do you need? We said 3 months, 4 months, and then they said, well, it's going to be 8 months. Doesn't matter. We were done in 2 months, and they were not. Obviously, because building a database with 19 million products in 2 months is kind of a hard job to do. And then the owner said, but I want to go live. So what do we do? And they said, let's use Algolia. For the meantime, it's going to cost some money because it's very expensive. But let's add the products in there. And then while we have the products in there, we're going to then build. In the meantime, continue the Elasticsearch. And when we're ready, we're going to switch it out. So how long will it take us to switch it out? Can anybody take a guess how long it takes to switch a database from Elasticsearch to Node.js to Algolia for this project. 1.5 hours. It took us 1.5 hours to switch out 19 million product database. So we were live, all went well, and then when they were done again with their data, they were switching it back. And this is because of this architecture. Because we don't talk straight, the front end is not straight on top of it. It goes through these API, and we have GraphQL in there now, so it's pretty cool, you can use it very easy. So, one misconception about progressive web apps is that people say, this is for Android only. Because iOS doesn't allow for some things. And that is true. iOS doesn't allow for push notifications to be sent, but iOS does see the speed. Having super high performance is something which shows on the device. Adding to home screen is happening on iOS. There are many things which are happening there, push notifications not, and some access to some of the hardware, but not many of that. And actually, Lancome, they built a project, they had 53% increase in mobile sessions on iOS. So, I mean, tell me that PWA is not for iOS, right? This is what's happening. Very nice. They started sending push notifications to everyone 4 times a month. They sent push notifications. They had 18,000 subscribers in 3 months' time, and they had immediately 8% of these people are buying. 4 push notifications a month. This is a very high number. Then they also said, okay, so we can recover cards by push notifications, right? Because normally if you want to recover a card, you need someone to ask them and have them be logged in or have their email address. But this way, not. They just allowed once for push notifications, and I can see what's in that card, and I can try to recover it. 12% are recovered. They made some money there. So Gartner did some research about progressive web apps, and they said 2020 we have 50% of the general purpose ads are going to be replaced by progressive web apps. That's in 1 year, right? And I think, you're great, we're all great, there's a big community out there, but having 50% of the web done in 1 year time, that's going to be crazy. So I think we're way behind. We should get started, and this is why we decided to not only open source the product, but also to make it very easy for you to get started within 3 steps, 2 minutes, you're going to have your project up and running. If you follow these steps, you're going to have a full PWA front-end, our Data Falcon project, with a Magento instance already pre-installed on some server there, and WordPress, and you can start playing around. So you can start changing and playing and adding your own stuff there. You can just do it within 3 steps. So I would please say, try it out, have a nice weekend with this, because it's really fun to play. So before I'm going to finish, and we're all going to have some beers, I want to share one more thing with you. I discovered this when we were starting this project, and just before we started open sourcing it, I was doing some more research about this, and there was something very interesting I discovered, and this was actually that iOS, and actually the very first iPhone, was actually built for progressive web apps. I looked back, the WWDC from 2007, and I found this. Here is Mr. Steve Jobs, and he says, here is the first iPhone, and there is an innovative new way to create applications for a mobile device. And he said this, Web 2.0, integrate with iPhone services, instant distribution, easy to update, very secure, and sandbox on the iPhone. This is an early description of a progressive web app. And the very first iPhone was actually built for this. But does anybody know why it never worked, why it never happened? And why now they're still blocking it partially? Does anybody know? Money, yes, because 1 year after this, the App Store was launched. So, I want to thank you all. Tomorrow, our dear friend Sasha is going to give a workshop as well as part of this conference, and teaching you actually how to start building this and how to build web applications on Node.js. And please join us, and we will be here tonight, and you can come and talk with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Maybe someone will have a question.
Are there any questions? This is always the fun part.
Have you tried to solve the problem of the pop-up install and the push notifications on the iOS, maybe in some another way, like a WebSockets, or it's for push notification, or some maybe hack? There is some
only thing you can do to make it kind of work is actually have some actual native app installed. So then where you are but that's actually faking it because you're pushing someone to install a native app on the phone. So instead of having the message, do you allow me? You can press allow on all Android devices. But then on iOS, you press allow, so it's a fake pop-up, and then it sends you to the App Store and has you download something very small. But I think if you look at the big picture, when you look at the global usage of phones, 75% is on Android, and only 22% is on iOS, and the rest is on something Chinese, I think. And then there's 70% of the market there, and we know iOS is working on this, and we also know that Apple is very stubborn and they never really tell them what they're doing. So at some point it will show up and it's going to be there. So there is all these things online and these requests, and you can follow this stuff there that people are trying to push them to do it. So we expect that it's going to happen soon. Really, a workaround is only working with real native apps, but that doesn't make sense actually to do it. So yeah, in terms of, there are so many people who do have Android, much more. So you can already start with it, and as soon as iOS hits, you add the allowance for the browser, and then it's there.
So for the iOS heavy markets,
Yeah.
what do you do?
Well, it depends on what you want to do. If your goal is just to, on iOS heavy markets, have push notifications, then you have to wait until it's there. But all the other stuff that the Progressive Web App can do, be very fast, get offline, add to home screen, all this stuff is there, is working on iOS. So even if you have a super heavy iOS market, then there's still many advantages there. But the only thing, there's one thing you don't, there's actually two things. You cannot access the torch on the phone. You cannot use the light. So if you need to have a web app that is using that light, this is not the right solution for you either. But there's many other things you can use. You can use cameras. You can do all the other cool stuff. You can actually do it. So it depends fully on your feature need.
That's all? No?
No. Yeah.
I remember I put off, like there's so many threads.
Yeah.
You can't do it to use this.
No, it's very, yeah, you can actually turn it off, but it's really difficult. You have to Google it, and then you have to be tech savvy to understand even how it works. So I think it's a good thing, actually, to be honest. But this will change. I mean, it's the same with email marketing. In the beginning of email marketing, there were no unsubscribe buttons. You had to call or write a letter, an actual physical letter to the company. Please stop sending me emails. This was happening back then. This will happen again in a few years. We're going to have unsubscribe buttons. At the moment, yeah, it's a pain to unsubscribe, but is that bad? I don't know. I don't think so.
Thank you. I have a question. So mobile applications, I mean Android and iOS, moving to the creating bigger permissions, bigger amount of permissions, lock as much as it possible, and ask user submit permissions for the applications. And you have trouble on the iOS. What would be if Android will go through the iOS and add these permissions also?
Well, I think, first of all, it's good to know that the concept PWA, actually the word PWA is what is made by Google, and they're extremely pushing it. We're also working together with Google on this project, and even next Friday we will go there again and push the project with their clients. So they're really trying to push this to everyone. So I don't think they're really going to shut it out. They even made it more easier, because now if you have a Progressive Web App, the Progressive Web App itself can be admitted to the App Store. So it can show up in the App Store. So that's really a good way to push this initiative, because you are actually in the App Store. And even if you still have users who are using the App Store and trying to find you there, they can find your web app there even. So I don't think they will start making it more difficult or trying to build restraints for people not to start building it. I think at some point there will be some restraints for people trying to misuse it. Like if you want to, for example, this pop-up showing install me on home screen is by default showing up after the second or third visit. So there's already a restriction to, have a little bit less load on it. But yeah, if you have someone, they said, okay, when does someone wants to install you on home screen? Probably just after 2 or 3 visits. So this is when the pop-up shows up. So they're trying to make it easier, trying to make a better web experience. So there might be some restrictions there, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to build the very first example I showed with all the pop-ups, 20 million pop-ups. They're not going to add a few more to that because it's making the web a little bit worse than better.
Okay, so thank you so much. Please show your impression about it.